Every business has an audience. If you do not understand that audience, you don't know how to operate. You don't know what products to build, you don't know how to talk to them, you don't know how to grow your business.
The biggest challenge for businesses today is the complex landscape that they have to compete within. Even a tiny brand is competing on a global stage, and the market's moving so much faster than it ever has been. So how do they deliver against that?
So we exist to help our customers understand their audiences, and we do that by running research at massive scale, and we put it into a platform that anyone can use and anyone can find compelling, simple insights that can drive and scale their business.
Now there's so much more of an onus on understanding audiences based around interests. So rather than males, 25 to 34s, you might want to understand gamers. If you were to look at GWI's data on gamers, you would see that that audience is so much richer and more diverse than you might expect. There's a really interesting gender balance, there's engagement among all age groups, so it's an audience that challenges your preconceptions because you've come at them from their interests rather than their demographics. GWI allows us to speak to millions of consumers each year across a huge range of countries. We are in 47 markets, speaking to consumers every day about what they're doing and why they're doing it.
The new GWI was designed to address exactly the challenge of getting granular audience insights quickly and embedding them in day-to-day of the organisation.
For quite a long time, data like ours had been the preserve of research experts who had to know how to use it, had to know various background and context. Our aim is to put that data into the hands of everyone to help them make the best informed, most insight-driven decisions they can.
When we say a platform for everyone, we literally mean a place where anyone who needs to get insight about the audience can log in and access it directly. And the reason we believe that's important is that in order for audience insights to really be impactful, they have to be embedded in daily decision-making at every level of the organisation.
The new GWI is about empowering your organisation to be truly data-driven, enabling any business of any scale, anywhere in the world, to be able to create really exciting, meaningful insights.
Hello. So I don't know, every time I do a talk, I for some reason I always feel cold and I want to warm up and I want everybody to warm up, and I do this everywhere, but I never had like an amphitheater like this. It's like more like rows like this, and it doesn't look so good. But now we're going to do this. You know what I'm going to ask you to do, right? You know it. Let's do a Mexican wave. Come on. Because I see everybody is so unhappy, something is going on. I want us to warm up because this is a JavaScript conference, right? Let's start it. Let's do it. We're going to start with Natalia over there, and then we're going to go all the way. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay, so I wanted Sarah to talk to me or talk together during this talk, but if she doesn't have a microphone, maybe that's not going to be possible? No? Yeah, you can. No, you'll see. You'll see. I'll ask you to do something for me. So, yeah, you are. That's right. You don't need a microphone. You got it with you, right? Okay. So, yes, you're here today because we are, I don't know how it feels here in Greece, right? But we are in this weird macroeconomic situation where we have all our customers asking us to reduce costs and, how do they say, cut edges and whatever. And you want to figure out how to do cheaper development or, things that cost less to your customers. Well, I'm sorry, because I'm not going to talk about that. It's not going to be about saving money to your customers. It's going to be about taking care of your end users, because that's what I care about. And what I think that front-end developers and JavaScript developers should really think of and put first is always the end user. And the end users, well, not only them, us, everybody, browsing the internet is expensive. It costs money. We're used to having it all kind of, I wouldn't say for free, but we're used to speed, and we're used to flat rates, and there are some things that we take for granted about the internet, but that's not like that everywhere in the world. It's not like that for everybody. Even to, I don't know, to pay things on the internet, you need the internet and you need to pay the internet. So the internet is basically a commodity. It's something that we're used to and have integrated in our lives. But for some of us, or the experience for end users is not equal everywhere. And let me show you some data that is obvious at this point. You know that most end users are browsing with mobile devices. That's something that has been growing since 2007, and then it kind of sunk a bit during COVID times for obvious reasons. These are the numbers of mobile growth, and as you can see, by 1,000 from 2007 to 2022. So we know that our end users are most likely browsing from a tablet or a mobile phone, but what tablet and what mobile phone? It's not probably an iPhone. Even if we do browse with an iPhone or with high-end technology when we're doing development, because our employers give us this, or we have a lab, or we're testing with the most or fastest speed and fastest devices, that's not probably the situation for your end users. Your end users are probably on a $200 or the euro equivalent, and those are phones that may take only 150 kilobytes in the critical path as budget. And that's something that we need to consider, because when we go above that budget that I'm trying to make you think about and take care of, the experience may be completely ruined for them. And also, while some countries have deployed already 5G, and we have, again, the fastest and best connections and speeds that we can imagine, that's not worldwide. Some countries, even in Europe, are planning to maintain deployments of 4G and even 3G until the late 2020s. So this is also something that we need to think about when we are developing websites and we are adding JavaScript left and right to our applications. And that, in the end, is going to affect positively your customers, because when an end user goes to a website and after the first second they don't get what they need, they don't have any interactivity, the bounce rate can become really high, and then they abandon an experience, maybe to never come back. So that's money loss for your customers as well. And by the way, data says that financial institutions are the ones to do the worst job. So how many of you work for banks, for example, if you're in the enterprise sector? Do we have anybody? No? Okay. Then good. Good for you. So my name is Natalia Venditto. That's my journey. I work for Microsoft, but it doesn't matter today because it's irrelevant to this talk. I am here as a JavaScript developer and front-end developer for many years. And if you want me to continue this talk, you need to click this button. Click it? Anybody? Exactly, that's exactly how your end users feel, right? When you put things that don't interact because your time to interactive sucks, or your first byte is like 4 seconds after they put the URL in the bar. Exactly like this. This is like a crappy UI, right? We don't want to do that. What do we want to do is not crappy UIs. And then you're asking me, okay, but what is a UI that doesn't suck for my users? That's easy. It's a UI that is accessible. Accessibility is very important. Maya can talk to you about it. Or no, and performance. So we want it to be accessible, and we want it to be fast. We want our end users to have a great experience when browsing with us. Like the one provided by Sarah over here, because what was she trying to do when she was promoting this website? Get over here.
I was in Vienna at the time, and there was a ReasonML meetup, and they were like, okay, we're all gonna set up ReasonML on our computers. And I fucking couldn't. I just couldn't. And I had like a completely normal MacBook, and I got so pissed off at the state of the internet that I made this website, which is basically just an HTML page that's like, remember FTP? That was fucking great, and we need to bring that back. The internet used to be so much easier.
That's right. I don't know if even my employer allows me to say that word. So every time I say the word, because I have to say it with legendary, I can only say, but if, yeah. No, yeah, that you can, yeah, if you, yeah, exactly. No, but if I say that word, you can go beep or something like this, so it doesn't appear in the recording. Anyway, so go browse to this page because it's amazing, and many of you, or maybe nobody of you, because you look all super young, but some of us that were doing websites in the early 2000s, we get this familiar vibe when we visit the site. It's not only about the visuals or the experience in itself, it's what you imagine the developer experience was like creating this website, right? You don't want to do shit. That's it. You want to do a great job, you want to enjoy it, you want to have a great developer experience, and you want the result to be enjoyable for your users. But if you go to your customers and say, you know what, I don't want to do shit again, and this is what is going to happen in the future, and you're not doing the beep, by the way. Yes, you were supposed. Yeah, okay. So you don't want to do yeah, your customers are going to say, well, what are you talking about, right? I have some requirements and you have to fulfill them, and that's why I pay you. But if you start thinking about it, yeah, this is exactly what we need to do in order to create an application. This is the cycle of development of an application, and you want, again, for you this is fun and this is easy. How many of you felt like this after setting up a front-end development environment? Like, you start like, yeah, checking your requirements, how am I going to do this, what technology, what framework I'm going to use, am I going to be doing some transpiling and this, and then you start over-engineering things, and yeah, a few years later, maybe 84 years later, you have a front-end setup or build system that it's going to work for you. And sorry about the crappy montage, but we're in the 90s, remember? So what if we, instead of focusing so much in the development cycle, we focus more in architecting user experiences? So we can have a flow that goes from analyzing our use case and making architecture decisions and tech stack definitions, and then defining the development cycle, what it's going to look like, and finally deciding our deployment options. And maybe in that context, and I speak about this a lot, we can decouple our systems and have different applications built with different technologies and composed together. This is an option. And then you have more opportunities to choose different kind of technologies that will create experience that serve different types of users that you don't know very well, and you don't know what needs they have, you don't know what limitations they may have. So let's try to serve them better. And before we make any of those decisions, we have to set some priorities. What are our priorities to build not crappy UIs? Well, we want to obviously asynchronously load or defer the load for the critical path, because we know that some of our users are on those low-end devices that won't allow them for much. We want to, of course, use libraries and technologies that are tree-shakeable. We want to bundle consciously. We want to have a good structure and architecture to our application, eliminate that code, and everything that doesn't contribute to the good experience should not be shipped to the browser, right? And of course, we want to define and respect a performance budget. What we could have additionally, those are the must-haves, right? What we could have additionally is we can use new generation frameworks, and we can stick to web platform APIs and web standards, right? And what do I mean by new generation frameworks? Well, I mean those frameworks that typically give us SSR capabilities. I don't know if everybody is very familiar with server-side rendering. Raise your hand. Okay, so those are mechanisms, basically the same ones that we used in the 90s, right? That we are generating the pages in the server and caching them. But if we are generating in the server instead of client-side, we're serving from a cache, from a CDN, then it's something static, right? And that doesn't really connect to the whole modern idea of an application that is very dynamic and that has a lot of state and that has a lot of customization or personalization for our users. How do we achieve this? Well, most of those frameworks, they also introduce concepts for hydration or partial hydration. In the case of, for example, those that, I thought I had some logos. Maybe it was in the next one. Okay, so partial hydration in terms of island architecture is a technique to bootstrap JavaScript only to small fragments of our server-side render pages so we can make them dynamic because we need those tiny components of the page to respond to the user input or to fetch data while it's on the client. And how do they do this? Well, basically, there is no shell like we are used to have when we want to do composition. The top level or the document is the one in charge of deciding which components are going to be bootstrapped JavaScript individually. And if you are not familiar with these frameworks, you may want to check them. For example, Astro, Fresh, or 11t, they implement these island architecture mechanisms. And, and by the way, they feature state serialization. But there is another technique that is also introduced with these modern frameworks, in this case by Quick, which is resumability. So I said, like, the first set that we discussed, they serialize the state. And in the case of Quick, they serialize the state and the handlers. So there is execution server-side. It's isomorphic. We have the same JavaScript executing both in the server and in the client. And what happens is I do everything I can that is accessible to me in the server, and then I send everything back to the client, and I pick up where I left. And this is where I resume my JavaScript execution. And I think the main difference is precisely that the size of JavaScript becomes smaller and smaller, not because we don't have JavaScript, but because we are executing it in a different context in the backend or in the server. And yeah, that's all so very interesting, but that still requires a lot of setup. There are building steps, obviously. There are servers in the mix. And this is a real tweet. This is, I didn't copy the author. This was from last year. But this is a common sentiment. How many of you have ever felt like this? Why am I doing all this work only to then ship something? It's a lot, right? I feel it. You don't? Oh my God. Tell me a secret, because I have felt so many times very burdened by the setup itself. So there is yet another generation of frameworks. It's the same generation, it's just a different flavor, which are the web standards-based and HTML-first frameworks. Do you know which one are those? Do you know any of those? No? Which one? Remix? Remixes? Yeah, it has some features of, you can think of lead, you can think of anything that takes advantage of custom elements and web components, and then bootstraps state back and forth from the server to the client. And for these frameworks, JavaScript is not required. You don't need to use JavaScript. You're on a progressive enhancement schedule. And progressive enhancement is not a term of the past. I hope that it's a term of the future, and we start shipping less and less JavaScript to the end users. And you are probably thinking, she works as a JavaScript whatever, and she's in a JavaScript conference, and she's promoting not using JavaScript. Is she saying JavaScript is bad? No, I love JavaScript. Changed my life. But JavaScript that is not optimized, that has not gone through those optimization cycles of, we mentioned before, tree shaking, bundling consciously, lazy loading the chunks as we need them, etc. That's bad JavaScript, obviously. Client-side JavaScript. Well, it helped us. It has had its time of, how do we say that? The time when we had all the applications be mostly client-side, and it helped us advance front-end development. But right now, we are figuring out that we have infrastructures that help us do things a little bit different, and we have to start shifting back to the servers as we get those round trips back and forth to wherever we fetch data or we do execution on the server side become shorter and shorter and more efficient. Because in the end, we don't know the capacity of the users at any time. That's an unknown thing for us. We may assume what they have as capacity to execute JavaScript, but we don't know it. So what we need to do, or what we could do as well, is because those round trips are shorter, again, because we now have the capacity of executing JavaScript very close to the user on the content delivery network, we can move compute to the cloud. We can move compute away from the device and into a different context, and we have two ways of doing that. We can run serverless functions in origin when, I don't know, the workload allows. It's some sort of data process, or we can do it very close to the user, again, on the content delivery network. And this is a little bit the idea behind this pattern of building websites or applications that is called functional web apps. That is basically this. It's a pattern that says, let's keep JavaScript to a minimum, let's use HTML and standards, because HTML helps us become future-proof. Anything that is a standard and advances with time and with JavaScript will be there and evolve for you, and you won't have to take care of it. You just have to continue to integrate those changes, and the ecosystem of the browser and the cloud will support it. And so it's functional because it's the concept of tiny custom elements that are pure functions and are executed on the cloud as serverless functions, databases that are managed, and basically that's all there is. So we have it here. Web components and progressive enhancement, database-backed APIs, file-based routing, that's another thing. Routers are the main, I would say, one of the main challenges for front-end frameworks. And that's basically the way they propose to do it is file-based. And SSR composable HTML custom elements. So this is the structure of Enhance. Enhance is that framework that I mentioned before that has these capabilities. And it basically, you have the application, and then you have an API folder, browser, elements, pages, and whatever. It gives you the ability to create a custom head component for your headers. And you then can do this. Let's not go there. Let me show you. Okay, this is a part when maybe, does this work? No, I'm not.
Do you want to, though?
I don't know.
You do.
Am I speaking loud enough? Not like
No.
No. Okay. So basically, let me check here. Let's see. For the sake of brevity, I have already created an application, but I promise you that this is like very fast. And this is not unique to Enhance. You just do basically this. Use npx create, and then it will put together a quick start very quickly. And then I just did the install because I wasn't sure about the internet.
And you were right.
Yeah, and I was right. And and then we're going to do an npm start, and that's going to start a server. That was it. Hopefully, you know how Demo gods. Okay, so this is the starter. Okay, and then let's do something. I am a bit lost on this computer because I don't typically use it. And by the way, sorry about the white terminal. I think it's good to see it.
So cursed, though. It's very cursed to have a light theme on your terminal, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it. Yeah,
for Spanish.
Yes, I trust the authors. What is this?
Just allow. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you got to fight us.
What is this? Ooh.
Oh, I think you didn't see.
Oh, because look at what I did. Okay, that's a problem. Okay.
Oh, so you used to good terminals. I'll actually, like when you command T, they open the folder you're in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, I don't have it well configured. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I don't even remember what was the name. So this one?
Is it beep party?
Yeah.
Beep.
Yeah. So let's go with the other one. And now what did I install, right? Let's do a start. Okay.
No, that was already starting. It was already started. You wanted to start code.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to start code. That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
She knows that I only had 4 hours of sleep because I went to Santorini, and thank you very much for having such a great, country. I love it. I am enjoying myself a lot. But
Thank you all for building this country with your bare hands. It's interesting because people say the same thing to me about Portugal, and I'm like, you're welcome.
Okay.
I made every single pastel de nata.
So you see, I showed you some structure, and you can see it here. So we have only the index page. If I wanted to create a route, I go here and just create a new file and call it Sarah HTML. And
So my mom calls me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's simple to understand, right? For you. So and here then we don't have to add the head or all the things of the document. We just go with main, and I don't know. Let's say Sarah rocks for holding my mic, and then I just go to the index and look a suitable place. Let's see, the source for this page, maybe somewhere here. Oh, no, yeah, let's do it like this. Let's create an href, and No, yeah, I know. H-thread, wow.
Fuck yeah.
And we call it Sarah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Sarah.
Does it have pretty links, or do you have to add that HTML? I guess we'll find out. We'll find out.
It will take
don't
care.
open
It
Blender,
will
that's
take.
gonna kill your computer.
It will take care of everything. It's there, you know. It's hot reloading. So I go to Sarah,
Nice.
and Sarah rocks for holding my mic, and it looks like I'm on budget. You know, I don't want to make this like
Pretty.
yeah pretty because
Fair.
we're thinking about the end user. So yes, that's how simple it is with file-based routers to just add a page. I know that you know this from before, but just think that this doesn't have any compilation. There is a server, of course, that is running, but there is no transpiling. There is not. It's just HTML and custom elements. And so I am terrified of doing more stuff with a few hours of sleep, but let's still do it. So I even have like in high school. Right? Let's create an API. So we go here and we create an API folder. And here we can just do index.js. So it's modules, obviously. And we can then, how do we call this? Do we need to give it a name? No, we don't need to give it a name. Let's just do.
What are you looking for?
Oh yes, get is something that we get from the whole server thing, and this is why these particular frameworks also need infrastructure that supports them. And why my humble opinion is that some new frameworks and some new ways of doing things don't get the traction that they should is because they need a developer ecosystem. They need developers to get engaged and build more. And this is why we do this job of presenting these type of things. For me, I'm not in any way connected with the enhanced development team. I just know them from the community, but I have no relations with them. So basically, blah, 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 request, and...
Wait, is it working? Oh, I guess if you go clip.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't need you anymore.
Wow.
It's not you, it's me.
Oh.
Okay, so we return here. Sorry? Zoom it in, yes. Let's do this. Does it work? Yeah? We're okay? Okay. So this, we will return an object that will return a message that will say, hi, Sarah, from the API. And then we're going to create also a component where we're going to render this. So we just go here and create a new folder. Also, I don't have my glasses, so I cannot see anything. Elements. Elements. And then we're going to just create a new file, and we're going to call it whatever, my message, MJS. Let's call it what? Yeah, I should use Copilot. I am just not logged in to this computer. I'm very sorry about it. So we can do export default, my message, and then we, oh my God, I just don't want to do it wrong and then have a bad time. Yeah, no. So we can pass here an object with the HTML. And What do you think it's going to happen? Am I going to blow this demo or not? Okay. So this may, in fact, let's show how this returns. This can return just HTML like this. Very simple. We don't have to do anything. Let's return, or return HTML, which is this object that we just passed. And then, what? Export default, my message. Yeah, the function keyword, that would be helpful, very helpful. Okay, and then we can say, let's try this. H1, my message. Oh, something is not, or maybe it's just my highlights, my syntax highlight. No, I think it's correct. Return HTML. Let's try this. My message from the element. And then we can go, let's go to the pages, let's go to the index, or we can go to Sarah and see if this works. My message, and now it breaks. No, my message from the element, and that was it. So this is how you create a full custom element that is functional right away. And now we're going to pass data from the API. Let's go back to code. So for that, we need to go back to the element. Oh my God, this is so confusing without glasses. Let's go to the element, and now we need to pass also state. And state is something that is an object that we can destructure, and we can get, let me see, state, oh, sorry. We can get the store. Which will equal state. And do you do semicolons or not? No. What? No. What? Yes. No. True. Yeah. I do. I am old. I am old and like this. So this is store, and now we're going to return HTML, and let's just, I don't know, somewhere put this. Blah, blah, blah. Message. Is it going to work? So we are bringing we're passing the state. We're getting the store from the state, and we're also getting the message from the store. And let me see this again. Return message, hi Sarah from the API. And if it doesn't work, I'll figure it out and I'll show you later. And that's how basically it works. But you can also go here to the enhanced documentation, because they have a very, very nice set of documents, which is basically one more ecosystem prop that we as developers need to contribute to, especially when it's open source and we want to all advance together. So basically, I'm probably just, message equals store. Let's see. I think I have something missing over here. And we can fix it quickly. Where is this element? Message equals, because this is a key value. And now I am pretty sure that it's going to work. But it may not be the case. Or maybe it doesn't work in this route, and we can try it. My message from the element. And the other one was, what did I call it? API. Hi, Sarah from the API. Okay, this is something that I'll owe you, because I think I'm on time. Am I on time, Sarah? I'm over. Yeah, she said that I cannot debug this. But it's probably some simple misspelling. The idea is that you can totally have a setup, you can have an application running without a lot of configuration, without a lot of work in setting up, and it's also an application that is using the latest web standards, that is using HTML first, that you know it's semantic, that you know it's accessible, and that it doesn't require to send a lot of JavaScript back to the user because, again, you're using the web platform's APIs where necessary and implementing progressive enhancement. Let me go back to my talk to see if I had anything else to say. This is how you render back state from the server to the client. And take care of your developer ecosystem, contribute to open source. Thank you very much.